favourite lactic session is running 2 450s with 15 minutes recovery, but that is kind of March session.
Jeez.
We look forward to it. We'll include that one.
Yeah.
You want to switch to 400s?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it now.
Yeah,
Great.
great.
You had to jump them. I don't know if you finished the race. So what advice have you got for an athlete thinking of doing the 400 hurdles?
Great event.
Why-
Switch.
Switch. What about the pain? Isn't it rather painful compared to long and triple jump and 100 metres running? I see your guys sweating profusely around the track day in, day out.
It's actually easier. It's actually easier. Sprint hurdles are very mentally tough event, for instance, to train. You have to be wired up every training sessions. When 400 hurdles, you don't. And if we do 12 to 100s at the moment, but those who joined me this year actually said it's actually easier than I thought it would be. 400 hurdles is really, it's easier to run than 400 flat. You'd be surprised, but it is easier. It's easier to pace yourself over 400 hurdles than 400 flat. And because you have hurdles and you have distraction, actually lactate doesn't hit as hard as when you run 400 flat.
Really?
Yeah. Jacob mentioned that. He said because you have to pace yourself. You can't just go lights out from the start.
You can't. And you know, if after hurdle 2, you know you're going lighter. You know, it's going too fast, you can back off.
So is it, I guess, when you see an athlete who's maybe laying on the floor after a race, is that a sign that they got things wrong, or?
Well, you see, I believe if athletes laying on the floor more than 15 minutes, either after the race or after training, then I've done something wrong. My athletes don't crawl off training sessions, they all walk.
Couldn't they have just pushed themselves into that level of, that depth of level? I can't think of the right words. Their mind has got enabled them to push harder than before. Like in a championship race, you can sometimes pull something out.
It depends on the athlete. There are athletes that are great at competing and they also always switch one gear, and there are athletes that cannot compete, and that is impossible to coach, and they perform their best in training, which is a big shame, but you probably came across athletes like that.
Yeah, well, that's probably a subject for another matter, whether or not you're born able to compete or somebody can help you to compete.
That is, we don't work with psychologists. I don't know. I try to do it myself.
Coaching is a psychologist by the very nature of the game, really, and you try to maximise, even as an athlete on an athlete, you're trying to encourage your teammates.
Yeah.
But we all pick up as people what we perceive strengths and weaknesses. But it is interesting about the psychological approach. Many coaches do involve that, and you sometimes wonder whether that helps.
Athletes are so tired of coaching, nagging them all the time, that they don't react as well if it was a third party that tells them the same thing. So I think that is important. I do pretty much all my biomechanical analysis myself, but if there was somebody else doing it, I would want them to report to me, and then me reporting to the athlete. And in some cases, when I can't get through to the athletes, I'd like somebody else to do it.
It just kind of made me think of something interesting. I guess before a race, do you give your athletes like a pep talk or some kind of motivational speech? I know it differs by the athlete, and you get some coaches who are really energetic, and some are just.
It depends on my athletes. I know who needs what, and some of them I just sit in the corner. They warm up for the major events. They know I'm there, and that is enough. And I believe that coach should be on the warm up area, because sometimes all it takes is an eye contact, and they perform better. Sometimes I ask others to give a pep talk. For instance, I've asked a number of occasions Lloyd Cowan, because he's great motivator. And sometimes I go to him if we're in the country or if we are abroad and say, talk to this person, please, for me.
We're being a long jump, triple jump coach, you're in a slightly different environment, because I can influence a competition once it starts. Whereas in my days as an athlete, you couldn't communicate with the athlete. But once they go onto the track, that's it. I mean, have you noticed a response? You said you had, like, say for example, Lloyd talks to an athlete, have they? Well, hopefully they've gone out and done better. As they fed back and said, this really helped me and studied nerves and things like that.
Some did. Yeah, some did.
Good. Cool.
Yeah, because I now ask Lloyd on a number of occasions, so that means it worked.
This is a question for us all, really. If athlete coaches, you know that the coach could be nervous, but the athlete as well. How have you dealt with it in the past? Nerves, perhaps let's go to you. How do you deal with nerves?
Nerves, I think for me as a jumper, and this is something you can't really do with the 400 hurdles, getting the slow cap going really helps with nerves. And it's something that I've started to use more in the early rounds. Often in the past you will get the clap going in like round 6, but I do it in round 2, not so much to put out a big jump, but just to, I guess, acknowledge the fact that there are people watching, and just it makes me feel a bit more comfortable.
Spurs you on.
But in any situation, the first jump just deals with the nerves and the whole thing. But I guess with the sprints, with any race, you're in a different situation. You can't go and do it over again. In 100 meters, you have that moment to deal with your nerves, and then you race. But the jumps, you have 6 attempts at least 3 attempts to fix it. So nerves, round 1 deals with that, but I think for me getting the clap going helps a lot.
I think you've got to have butterflies, because that shows that you have adrenaline, that you care.
Yeah.
If you don't have butterflies and you don't have nerves before the event, what's the point?
Yeah.
As coaches and as athletes, we're always evolving. Jacob mentioned something when he did the Diamond League about he was sharing a room with Kieran Clement, if I remember. But we as coaches, I've competed and you have to a high level as well, but I've never done a major championships, but that learning, that's almost as a coach, sometimes there's a secret hidden ingredient of how to train and through major championships as well, particularly for your event. Mine is not quite the same, qualifying round, hopefully a day's rest in the final, but the 4 hurdles, you've got a number of rounds to go through. Do you specifically tell them to run a certain pace, or how does that work?
Well, we train that as well. We used to have, they don't run them the same way. We used to have 3 competitions in Belgium in 1 week.
Okay.
Which will be one on Wednesday, another one on Thursday, and the third one on Saturday. So we used to go to this all 3 meetings and use it as a preparation for the championships. Unfortunately, last year they couldn't run them all in 1 week.
Do you look very intently? I mean, I've always found as well, at under 20 level in particular, sometimes you don't know how good the other people are. This is in a long jump competition where you can actually see somebody jump first and say, oh, well, he's not so good, or he's brilliant. In the 4 hurdles, you might not know who's exactly in your race in particular.
Well, you pretty much know.
Okay.
You do know who, and you follow them during the year, and you see what they've done and what's the shape they are in now, because they may have run extraordinary time in May, and we're now in July. So you do know who is who and what they're running, but it's difficult to go through rounds controlled, because the level of competition is so high. Under 23s this year is Carlson Warhol he's won worlds as well. So the competition was huge, and
I see.
Yeah.
Do you, I guess with that, are there any specific instructions not to go too fast? Like you say, for example, I was watching all our English schools. She ran 62 in the heats, 59 in the final. Was that always the plan, or would that just work out perfectly like that?
It wasn't the plan, and it wasn't perfect.
Okay.
It wasn't perfect, and usually, no, I don't hold them back in the rounds. They pretty much know what to do once they come to the major events. And as I said, I'm just there in case they need me. I don't go through big instructions. I don't want to overcoach them.
That's a very important point. Overcoaching. Keep it simple.
So is there any, I guess, we're talking about championships, is there any go-to sessions you have? Like for me as a triple jumper, there are just certain sessions that I do before a major championship, or certain ones that I know, okay, things are about to click. Are there any ones for you that...
Like a test session, something like that?
No, we don't do trials, test sessions in training. Our test session is competitions. And I do know what shape athletes are, because it's easy for me, because I touch down every hurdle. So we do sessions like 6 hurdles, 8 hurdles, 10 hurdles. I pretty much know what shapes they're in. And there is no one specific session that works for every athlete. Athletes are different.
yeah.
Their preparation for major championships are totally different. So no, there isn't any specific session. I know that my favorite lactic session is running 2 450s with 15 minutes recovery, and first one with 10 hurdles and second flat, but that is kind of March session.
Jeez.
We look forward to it. We'll include that.
Yeah.
You want to switch to 4 hurdles?
Yeah, I'm thinking
yeah,
right now.
Yeah, great.
You have to jump them. I don't know if you finished the race.